So now I would like to invite our second speaker for our second session for today's webinar. I would like to invite Mr. Gan Ghee Whoon to come forward to deliver his presentation on the topic of basic approach of rat control in oil palm plantation. Mr. Gan, now the floor is yours.
Can you hear my voice?
Yes, we can hear your voice.
Okay. Hi, and good day to every one of you. My name is Gan Ghee Whoon. I'm the sales manager with Darby Agri-Bio. Can you hear me? Hello? Hello?
Yes, Mr. Gan, we can hear you. It's all good.
Okay.
Carry on. Yes.
Okay. I like to. I'm not sure actually whether I earned the right to talk about this subject, but my colleagues and of course, my bigger friends, Parok, you, I think I do. So I will do my best talk about this rodent control. I would like to share about the baiting technique that was developed by oil palm research scientists in the 70s and 80s, and today is still applicable today. Perhaps we might require to do some tweaking to suit the current condition due to the changes in rat species and also higher population pressure, and also the development of resistant strain of rats that build up over the year of using one product. There is also the problem of behavioral resistance to deal with. Okay, early researcher like B.J. Wood, Liao Xiaoshuan, Chung Gefi, Ho Ching Ta, and the late Muhammad Mat Amin, and others from various oil palm research stations in the 70s and 80s, notably the Chamara Research, EBO, OPRS, and HRU. They have embraced this technique of rat control that I want to talk to you. I have the privilege of working with some of them in the early years. Next slide. Hello? Okay. Before I talk about the control technique, let me look at the damages this pest rat caused to the oil palm industry. Okay. The damages and losses caused by the rats are staggering. Okay. This rat pest is actually a chronic pest of the oil palm. They are present in all stages of the palm age, in the mature stage, immature stage, what I call the replant, and also new planting, and also in the nursery. So very severe crop losses can occur if this rat pest is not controlled properly. Okay. Next slide. Okay. I want to elaborate a little bit on the work in the 70s, 80s, where they work on these Rattus germanicus, the mainwood rat. So those days they established the what they call they found that the rat consumed on average about 4.3 grams of mesocard. These are the Rattus germanicus, the common species that in the 70s. So from the consumption here we can we can estimate the losses that this rat has caused at a low incident damage of 5% to a high incident damage level of 50%. You can calculate the loss. The fresh census damage 5% correlate to the rat population in the field. So we can estimate based on the consumption of at that time the scientist, the researcher work on is Humanicus rat, and the consumption is about 4.3 grams. So you can calculate 100 rats per hectare. You can consume about 430 grams of mesocarp. This worked out to be about 50% of oil weight. The mesocarp is 50% oil, and then the current price of $5,000 per ton, and your losses per year just at the low damage incident is nearly 400 ringgit per hectare per year. At high damage incident is nearly 2,000 ringgit per hectare. So compared to how much you're going to spend on your rating per year, probably it's only about 100 ringgit, and most is 200 ringgit. 200 ringgit, we work out to be nearly 10 round. Next, next slide. Beside the losses you saw just now from the mesocarp, the rat also killed your palm. Losses due to rat. Like here, this slide here show the palm is being killed. Then first year planting, the lower front is being chewed up. The losses supported to 34% of yield. Next. This is showing on the damages damage on crop loss feeding on the mesocarp. Estimated 7 to 10% of the oil production damage to female inflorescence and developing bunches. The losses is even higher. Here on the left side, there's one slide. The female bunches probably will be aborted, so you might lost a bunch. So on the right side is a fresh damage. What we census called fresh damage. Next slide. Some serious damage to lower frond. This also impact your what you call maturity, extended maturity. Next. Immature field palms were damaged by rat. Losses of palm can be very high. Young immature palm. Next. Damage to unripe fruit bunch. Next. Damage to male inflorescence. Next. I'll show you the extent of the damage by rat before we touch on the control measure. Okay. Damage to post-antithesis male inflorescence, palmate. Next. These are almost the damage symptoms of rats. Okay, rats are highly prolific. They have the potential to increase their population by 500-fold in a year. Explosion of the rat population is a common occurrence if they are not effectively controlled. Next. This graph shows you the population build up from control situation where you at zero, the population slowly grow from what you call from 6 months to 1 year. So it tells you that you should not wait longer than 6 months. This was the result. This was a finding from the 70s and 80s. At that time, of course, the rats they refer to are mainly Humanicus, the dominant species at that time are Humanicus. Of course, present day the species are very different. Probably it may take even shorter period, not 6 months, maybe 4 months. You may have to. You may see the graph start building, the population start building up. Okay, so at that time, at those days, ideal times to go in is at 6 months to do baiting. You're tackling a smaller population than if you go in at 12 months or 14 months, you're tackling a higher rat population. So more problematic and more baits will be required, and more rounds. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, this is what I want to talk about, the control technique. This was developed in the 70s and 80s, and then it's proven to be effective method of rat control. As you need to have effective technique of rat baiting, then you also need to use a poison bait of proven good acceptance and effectiveness. You might have both of these. If you have a good technique but you don't have a good rat bait, you can't control. Likewise, same thing, if you have a good bait but you don't have a good proper technique, you also fail in your control. So these two criteria are very important. So I will assume that most of the baits are well accepted by rats and effective. Usually the mistake is in the control technique. So we'll elaborate a little bit on the technique of rat baiting here. Okay, so next slide. An effective program for rat in oil palm plantation involves four basic procedures. Because the quantitative measurement or quantitative assessment of rat damage is important. Okay, then the assessment of the rat, what called species, the composition of species, and also the population size is also important, because the species and the size determine the amount of bait that you're going to use. Okay. Next step is then you go to the baiting program. After your baiting program, you do your evaluation. So you have to follow through all these four basic procedure to get in order to get a good control. Okay, next. And we come to talk on the assessment of rat damage. Okay, the quantitative assessment of rat damage involves sensors, doing sensors. So by checking on palm in every 20 row, or you can even every 10 row, it give you a 10% of the census area. But I think 5% of area is good enough. Some, I think 5% also some find difficult, too much to do. Okay, so control measure will be required when 5% of the palm showing fresh damage, 5%. That means every 20 row you go in, you sense the pump, and then if that row for 20 pump got one pump of fry damage, that means you need to do control measure. Let's say if you're censoring, doing damage sensors for your estate, there are 20 block or 20 field. If you have 50% of your field cross the 5%, I call fresh damage, that means you have to bait the entire estate, entire 20 block. Okay, anything that cross the 50%, you have to bait the entire area. Okay, so 5% is the trigger point. Okay, for immature oil palm, control measure will be immediately required at the first evidence of fresh damage. Okay, this is crucial. Immature, you don't need to do sensor this and that. It will be too late. Oil palm will be dead by then. So your planters, if you see any one of, normally the immature one, the damage is in small cluster. If you spot it, you have to act immediately, do immediate rat baiting. Okay, you lift it up the front and you see the lower front. If it's a chew up, fresh damage, apply bait. Probably do multiple baiting. Usually immature area are usually the eye of Argentina, so they are very ferocious and their damage can be very fast. If you wait and planning to censor this and that, the whole field will be gone. Okay, next. Okay, assessment of the rat population, the species, the composition, and the population size. This is important because over the years, especially now, the species, the dominant species are not no more like before. We have Geomanicus now. Probably you have mostly the Adai or Argentiventa. In the last few years, we do a lot of trapping in some of the coastal estate. Most of it the Adai and Argentiventa. We don't get any of the Geomanicus anymore. So the Adai is the biggest species. So more beds are required and more bedding grounds are needed to control. So it's more difficult. So this you will know where after the bedding ground you can spot the species of rat, then you know what to expect now. Okay. Next. Population size. Okay. The fresh damage actually correlate to the population size. So we have when you do a fresh test census, then it will tell you what sort of population in your field. Then you know what to expect. So whether the bedding ground will be extended or you have to look at a different approach of doing rat baiting. Okay, next. These are the common species of rats in Peninsular Malaysia, but not the only species. That I think in Malaysia we have some 20 odd species. So in the oil palm plantation, these are the common one. Common in oil palm are the Adai, Argentiventa, and the Geomanicus. Okay, next. Next slide, please. Okay. Okay, baiting. Okay, baiting involves several procedure. Okay, baiting is still the most, most practical and economical way to control rat. Because you just want to know whether that's this what called integrating rat baiting, rat poison baiting, and integrating with this one hour as a predator of rat helps in the control of rat. Somebody will ask, like just now, Dr. Stephen explained. So I think it does. I read to you an article on this 1 hour by this what do you call this fellow, John Duckett. He's from a planter from John Duckett paper in 1976 on how as a major predator of rats in oil palm estate. He said owl as a natural predator can never in oil palm plantation achieve a complete control of rats, and regular baiting will always be essential for good control. They can nevertheless serve as a real use in slowing the rate of rat population build-up, particularly after major baiting round, and thus assist in extending the interval between major baiting programs. In this respect, they have an economic value, and each rat taken by a natural predator means one bait less to be used. Thus, a family group of barn owl would possibly consume something in the region of 2,000 rats per year, and can therefore be assessed as having an annual value to an estate equal to the cost of 2,000 rat baits. Yes, we are talking assuming that one rat consume one bait. Normally it consumes 1 to 2 baits, so there's a big saving there. So this one I just sidetracked on 1 hour. So integrating with barn owl as a predator of rat does help in reducing the cost of baiting, and also slow down your rat population build-up. Okay. Now back to baiting. What are the requirements you need for baiting? I'll see here. When you commence baiting when fresh damage sensors indicate more than 5% damage, as I said earlier. When damage is less than 20%, 1 bait per palm in the palm circle or from bud, replace the baits taken away at 3 to 5 days interval for first generation bait. Okay. If your field, if your sensors are all in the region of more than 50% of your field, more than 5% damage, but all are between 20% fresh damage. So you can go ahead and put one bed per pump and do your bedding, then okay. But not all the field will be 5% or 5 to 20%. There might be, let's say you have 20 field, you might have 1 or 2 field with 50% fresh damage. Indicating that 2 field is a problem. So you have to single out that 2 field to do it, treat it differently. Otherwise, you will have problem, because if you're going to do like one bed for all the field, even the 20% or below 20% and the above 50%, you do the same. So that 2 block will end up not bedding enough. So it will be a source of population, what we call the multiplication of rat over there. So what we do with that? So it's always good to do rash damage sensors every now and then. That means very often. That means before you do rat bedding. So this is to segregate your field. Let's say if your field, let's say if you sensors your field got 20 block, all the block above 20%, and then in the 20, then you can in fact do what I call high intensity bedding for all the field. Any field that's above, let's say above 50% of your field, all registered more than 20% fresh damage, that means you have to do high intensity bedding. So you have to plan like that. Anything above the 50% of, let's say, of 20% of 50% of 60% of fresh damage, you have to plan it that way, so that you can control your rat problem better. Because the higher pest pressure, meaning you require more bed, that's for sure. You have to do high intensity bedding. All right, okay. And also when you do rat bedding, try to go in after harvesting is done. Maybe a few days after harvesting. This is to we will assume that after harvesting there is no more ripe fruits on the bunches, and then also there's no we're talking a few days, there's also less random loose fruit on the ground, so the rat will more readily accept your bed. Okay, so this is what I want to say. Okay, next slide is also on bedding. Once the bedding programs commence, it should continue for a minimum of 3 rounds, or usually more than that. Now, with the current problem in place, there is no way you can control a rat in 3 bedding rounds. So you have to bed enough. Okay, continue replacing bed until a certain drop to 20%. That's most of you know bedding, right? And try to bed a minimum of 100 hectare, or bed the whole estate better. Don't bed pocket bedding, and then you never able to control the rat. The rat will migrate from field to field. Okay, and try to complete the whole campaign. I mean the bedding campaign between the period of 2 months. Next. Okay, after your bedding, the fourth procedure is you have to evaluate the effectiveness of your bedding program. So this is normal. You spend time, money, all these sort of things. It's always important to see whether you do a good job or not. Okay, so what you do, you also do sensors, or you see the bed at 7 drop to 20%. Then also observe minimum fresh activity and nesting site. I do what I call post bedding damage sensors 3 days after your program, your bedding program, and another round 10 days after your bedding program. Okay, how you check? Next slide. How you check the rat activities? Okay, rat activities sensors post bedding. Okay, you can actually set trap. It's set about 5 row by 10 pound, 50 pound. So trapping the rats using cages. So also you can do baiting. If you're using trap, you carry out control if the total of more than 10 rats are caught over the period of three nights. Yes. So that means it's still high population. Normally after baiting, you won't trap any rats, okay? And bait it properly. Then or you can use also bait as an indication. So you will place the bait, and then you 4 days later you check. If there's no rat, then the bait will be there. If there's rat, then the bait will be missing. So if your bait is 20 baits are missing, you have to do rat baiting. That means that few didn't do it properly. Okay. So the other one is, of course, your normal one, the sensors are field damage sensors. This is more accurate sensors. If you can see the palm, you do the fresh damage sensors method. Okay. Next. Important note. It's important to carry out baiting program right through to the point until good control has been achieved. Incomplete control attempts will inadequate baiting will result in poor control of rats with loss of crop, faster build-up of rat population, killing of the weaker species, and allowing the stronger one to develop resistance. Allow individual with submitted dose of poison and to recover. Therefore, inducing high tolerance to poison, right? Next. Okay, benefits of rat baiting. Just now we saw we calculate the losses, and it comes to $1,000 per hectare per year. It's just talking about some fresh 20% fresh damage in the senses. So what's your baiting cost? Your baiting cost is not very much. Baiting cost, you're talking of material alone. If you're taking one bait at 10 cents, so for 500% of bait, five round, it only costs you about 75 ringgit per hectare per year. So in a very worst case scenario, your material cost will be only about 150 ringgit material, 150 ringgit per hectare per year, enough to 10 solid round 100%. So it's not very much, and then the saving you're going to get from baiting is huge. Imagine if you don't do baiting, your losses is that much. It's 1,000 over ringgit per hectare per year. Okay, next. This slide show the rat population growth. So it indicated the best time to going to do rat baiting is 6 months. Consequences of waiting longer, like 12 months or 18 months, then you're dealing with a higher rat population. So it's difficult to manage. Okay. This is based on the 70s, 80s period. So probably now the population are different, the species. So it might be even shorter to 4 months, 5 months. Okay. In summary, the first generation bait, one bait per palm for all the palms, replace eaten once at 3 to 5 days interval until bait acceptance drop to 20%. Okay. For this first generation poison. Okay. So second generation baits, one bait per palm, replace 5 to 7 days interval until acceptance drop. Okay. So we are baiting over a minimum of 100 hectare per program. Ideally carry out baiting at 6 monthly campaign, complete the whole estate within 1 to 2 months. Okay. So that's about all I want to talk on this rat control. The next slide probably is on something on the cat. Next slide, please. This slide shows the LD value of the various rodenticide. The first three are the offering, and then the bottom three are the first three are the first gen, and the second, third to the sixth one are the second gen poison. Normally second gen are more lethal. So the baiting method also is very different. The interval of 7 days or even longer. So you also have a point when they debate at 7 day interval or 4 days. You can also use it at 4 5 days, 3 to 5 days interval, but more bait will be consumed. 7 days interval is actually is more like a house baiting. The rat will want the rat to succumb to the poison before the second bait come in. So not letting the rat take second bait if you have an interval of 7 days interval. Okay. For the first gen poison, you can't do that because the poison are slightly uh, mild, and then it's meant to be taken multiple feeding over a period of time. So that's what Dr. Stevens said just now. So it has to be a shorter period of feeding. But here I saw this Kumar tutorial. Yes, recommending something 7 days interval. Probably the concentration of the first gen are high at 375 ppm. So probably they want to drag it to 7 days. So some sort of saving in the rating from next slide. So this is the what called the theoretical amount of baits that a novaticus rat would take. A novaticus rat is rather big at 250 grams. So the amount you require to feed, they're going to take to hit the lethal dose, like warfarin, this chlorofacinol, you can see. So here indicating warfarin is more tolerance now. So you might need very much more. Okay, okay, that's about all I want to share with you, right? Come to the conclude to come to the end of my speech. Okay, back to you, Farod.
Yep. Thank you so much, Mr. Gan, for all the insightful and very knowledge and sharing brought to you today. I believe it is very useful and also very important also for the planters to use that as a guidance, especially to have the effective rat control in oil palm plantation in achieving the successful rat control for their pests in the plantations. All right, so now I will be taking questions from the participants. So I have a few questions coming in right now. Let me see the chat box. Feel free to put all your questions in the chat box and we will address them one by one. Okay, the first question, Mr. Gan, I think this is a very important question from Joshua Anadam. Hi, thank you for sharing. We sometimes observe stashes of rat beds beneath front piles and in burrow. We suppose this is due to the hoarding behavior of rats. Is there any way we can circumnavigate this problem? Otherwise, it gives us a false perception that uptake is high when in fact rats are not really dying out. Yeah, Mr. Gan.
Yeah, I can hear. Okay, hoarding do happen. From the start of your bedding, so the dominant rat will take the part of the bed. So this is especially critical in the area where you want to do high intensity bedding. Sometimes you put multiple bedding because hypopopulation. Then one dominant rat will just hoard the commander the beds and keep it, and then they die. All this bed is not taken by the rats, so it's quite wasteful. So how we deal with this is actually if we are dealing in very high pressure, you're going to do multiple bedding. You don't put, let's say, that's just not indicating high pressure, three bed of first one round, two round. We put one bed there and then the rest of the bed throw it to the other field. So just that one bed in a circle is for you to do replacement around the third one. When you come that bed missing, you replace three. If the bed is there, you don't replace anything. So okay, so you have the interval of 7 days, so not so much an issue. So the rat will take and then one bed, and then you take and then you eat or die. It's only happen hoarding when you put all the bed in one area. You try one spot, so it will hoard. Okay. If one bed per farm, there might be hoarding, but it won't be very much, maybe one or two, because it's so far away from the farm. It will still hard, but it won't be that bad. Okay, I don't know whether Joshua he's explaining because you do multiple bedding in one spot, then it can happen. Okay. I will answer your question.
Okay, thank you. Next question from Anita. If raining seasons, what is the best solution for baiting? Reduce interval round or placement adjustment?
Raining.
Yeah.
Okay. Normally, raining, the bait acceptance is usually low because animal with a fur creature, they avoid wet the background. So if it's been raining all the time, and then if your replacement going to be just 3 to 5 days in the world, then you might have a false indication because the rat don't come down or to come out and feed, and then the next round you come, the acceptance is dropped to 20%, and you stop at that. So it gives you a false indication. So you have to be things a bit observant lah. So maybe give allowance for raining, maybe around can drag a little bit longer. So you still need to bait. Of course, I can't tell you to put a cover on the thing. I know those days there are people who use bamboo cut into half and use it as shelter, and then to prevent the bait from spoil. But I think if you're talking about weathability, some of the baits in the market are quite good. For accepting thing, it will be affected by the rain, slower uptake. That's what I think of. Okay.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Gan. Next question from Stephen Tiong. How effective is the rat bait for squirrel?
Oh, okay. Squirrel don't normally take bait, but some do take. But I think squirrel don't do much damage compared to rat. But we tend to blame squirrel for the damage. Let's say you walk to your field is near the jungle fringe there, and then morning you walk and you saw a lot of squirrel running around. Because morning rat will be hiding, squirrel will be very active. So you tend to blame the squirrel doing the damage. But actually, they are very little. What you can do is when you do rat baiting, after that you find that the squirrel damage is also disappear. If you still think that the squirrel do the damage, you can actually do a census checking whether it's squirrel or rat. So how about you? Morning before the squirrel get up to run around, usually around when the sun is out, 9-10 o'clock. What you do your census early morning. I think you can do a census in that area near the jungle fringe. That's maybe 7-8 o'clock. You do one census. Then evening you do another time. Then the next morning you do one more time. So you see, it will tell you who do the damage. You will be surprised. It's not the squirrel, it's the rat. So from the result, these 3 morning and afternoon the same day, you know, morning if you use morning census, if you have just 2% damage, then evening your census is 2%. That means it's not the squirrel is not the culprit. Then the next day the different damage is tell is rat. So you do that, and then you will be surprised. Damage is all by rat, not by the squirrel. Just because morning you saw the squirrel running around the farm and the farm of damage, you thought it's squirrel. Okay, yes, you try doing that.
Okay. All right, Mr. Gan, maybe we can take a few more questions. Okay, next question is from Muhammad Shafrin Fahmi Razali. He's asking, in low-lying or flood-prone areas, where are the best placement? Can we place the bait?
Actually, you can place your. In fact, it is a current practice that you place your bait on your front bark. Yes, in fact, it's one of the ISPO requirement. so less likely to be consumed by other animals. So if it's in the low lying, you place your beds on the front part, should be all right. Should be all right. Yes. Okay.
Okay.
The rat will find its way to the bed.
Yeah. Okay. Next question from Lai Chong Fong. For younger matured palm, what do you think if I place a ring of hard plastic around the palm trunk? Like similar concept, like putting a metal ring around the posts of the barn our house to prevent rats reaching the bunches.
Oh yes, you can do it, but a lot of work now. Because actually immature, young and immature one, we are very worried of the rats because they don't come for the fruits, they come for the palm. They bore through the cabbage, they kill the palm. So have to be very vigilant, observant. The field assistant or the conductor have to move around in the field, and it's just a baby. You need a lot of attention and care. From far, if you spot a few palms showing the front lying flat, you can see only a few front standing, the lower front all collapsed. You should straight away go inside, walk into the field, and lift up all the front and see how bad it is. If it's normally you start with a few palm, then you spread out all. So if you see all the palm and you have to do all the palm that is affected. Lift up the palm, you saw the chew mark there, fresh mark there. Is right there. If you delay, the next thing is you go in for the cabbage, the palm is dead. So when you do baiting, you have to put quite a lot of bait because these are no Rattus theomanicus, other species. It can be Argentivita, Diadai, or even other rat, Mulari. So the palm will be lost. So you bait and then you bait extra to buffer ring. That means two buffer one bait, and then come back 1 week later. Make sure that you put enough bait because they consume a lot. You have to, if putting first gen, you have to put multiple bait in one palm, at least 3-4 bait per palm. If second gen, also you need to put a few bait per palm. Don't put one bait, you will finish the palm. Then 1 week later, you come and again lift up the front and check, see got any fresh. If there is some fresh sign of the chewing at the front, put another round and continuously doing high intensity baiting, then you will control. Don't wait, cannot wait, and then don't waste time with sensors and you censor the dead palm for what point. You have to act very fast. Yes.
All right.
This one
okay.
I can say.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Gan. Maybe just 2 last questions. Okay, before we end, because we are running short of time now. Okay, the first one is squirrel. For Anita again, is squirrel have attacked immature palm, or if we apply in the immature area, is it possible squirrel eat the bait?
No, squirrel don't normally take the bait. I know, but then occasionally you can see 1 or 2 not actually squirrel ground through. They may take they go for insect, they may take the grain. Squirrel less likely. Normally we do rat baiting in some area where we don't see much squirrel dead. Actually, they don't really come down. They do, but not very frequent to the ground. The other species you saw on the ground that look like squirrel is actually a ground shrew. It's not a squirrel.
Okay. Okay. Just take one last question, Mr. Gan. From Yusri Isa. He's seeking your comment on the incident of bait shyness. Yeah.
Okay, bait shyness is very different from the other one I read from behavioral shyness or behavioral resistant. Bait shyness is also classified as resistant. No, bait shyness is actually the rat don't take the bait at all. It can be the bait is just useless. The bait the rat don't take. So normally that's why bait acceptance is very important. That means you cannot use the bait. They totally use the bait. So those days we talk about bait shyness, usually we just using acute poison like zinc, phosphide, all this sort of thing. The rat shy a bit because he can detect the poison, can and it's not palatable, so they don't like have it. The other one more acute, more headache is the behavioral resistance. That one is where the rat eat the bait, it die, but the rat don't eat the bait, and then occasionally we eat the bait. That one is more difficult to tackle. So it's different, and all these also different from what you call not resistant. Resistant to poison is also another topic. It's different. Resistant topic means rat build up some tolerance over the poison after many years. It happens. It happened. We already know warfarin already the tolerance built up. So, but it still can use, but it becomes not economical to use anymore. It takes a lot of bait, and then bait is one thing. The labor around to do it is very costly. If you don't have the labor, so it's very difficult to use warfarin to control because of the tolerance, the build up the tolerance. I say can control, but you need more. So that is tolerance. The other one, that's how I say is China's is totally another thing. Don't take the bait. That is bigger problem. Usually it's because of the bait. Then behavioral resistance is the rat take the bait, it die, but it just don't take. For some reason we do not know. Maybe not totally don't take certain percentage of the rat take, and this is usually in situation like that, it has to be what you call custom made, custom formulation for that particular area, the rat. So that means, or you can use a very fresh bait. Yes, it helps a bit. So using fresh baked bait from our factory, or you custom make the bait for that particular. Yes, these research scientists have to come in now. But we have this problem here and there. So yes, we have now this problem. I hope this one can answer to this. That's what but this behavioral resistance is already happening already in the late 90s, and even recently we have also here. Okay.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you. For all the questions, and to Mr. Gan, thank you for the answers as well. So now we shall move to our quiz, second round. Right. So gets ready. All the participants, please go to menti.com, the same website that you joined just now, and type in the code as shown in the screen. Dian, over to you for the quiz.
Hi everyone, hear me? Okay, cool. So let's have everyone join into menti.com using the code 9776-9289. This time around, we've decided to give you 5 more seconds to answer the question. And it's going to be a race to finish, okay? So don't worry, it's the first 3 winners on the podium that will win a prize. While we wait for them to join, Farouk, can you tell us what are they fighting for? Oh, is accurate. Farouk, you're on mute. So the previous quiz, we had 46 participants. So let's see, we can hit at least 40 for now. Okay, we are going to be a little over time. So I'm going to give you guys another 2 minutes to join menti.com using the code 9776-289. And Fark has this. Okay. So we will start at 5:02, okay? So we have 33 participants now. Okay, I think for 1 more minute to go. Okay. I'm going to start the countdown now. The fresh damage, rat damage of 20% by Ratus Theomanicus, PO price of RM 5,000 per ton. Is estimated to cost the industry between Oh, I didn't have the answer. Okay, never mind. So Panda is in the race. So let's go to the second question. What are the basic requirements to effectively control rats in oil palm plantations? Correct and effective baiting techniques, the use of poison baits with proven good acceptance and effectiveness, or all of the above? So the answer is all of the above. Okay, so Panda is still in the lead. Good job. Oh no, it's Shafrin Fahmi. Very good. Right. Okay. Next question. Ideally, how often does need to do rat baiting? Every 3 months, 6 months, or 12 months? Right. So who's leading now? If I'm not wrong, the other is every 6 months. Yeah. Okay. So okay, Shafrin, good job, and Theo and Panda. Okay, great. Next question. What is the best time to do baiting? 3 to 5 days after harvesting, 1 week after harvesting, 2 weeks after harvesting. Okay. So it's 3 to 5 days after harvesting. So let's see who's in the lead. Wow. Okay, the top 3 still has not changed, you guys. Okay, 5th question. When should you carry out high intensity rat baiting? When more than 50% of the fields record 5 to 10% fresh damage, when more than 50% record 10 to 20%, or 20 to 50%. So the answer is when more than 50%, okay, record 20 to 50% fresh damage. Let's see who's leading again. Oh, Panda catching up there. Good job. Okay, but Shafrin is still leading. Question 6 of 8. So you have 2 last questions to actually tap. Okay. Remember, how to score is either you by sweet or accurate answer. Why is it proper and advisable to integrate barn owls as predators of rodents to help in the control of rats in oil palm plantation? Great. So let's see who's leading. Wow, good job. Okay, maintaining her lead there. Question number 7. You can do this. Rat species change from Rattus theomanicus, the once common species in the 70s, to the more prolific species can impact us with the following. That's right. Let's see who has managed to catch up. Or is Shafrin still leading? Ooh, it's a tight race between Shafrin and Panda. Okay, last question. How would you determine rat activity in the oil palm fields post-baiting? Trapping, damage sensors and baiting, or all of the above? It's actually of the above. Let's see who is our winner for this quiz. Congratulations to Shafrin. You have won the quiz. But Panda and Hyo, you do win something as well. So for the top 3 winners, please take screenshot of your position on the poll and send it to us so that it can tell you how to claim your prize. Now I'm gonna give the mic back to Farouk for last words.
Yes, thank you, Dian. And congratulations again to all the winners and for the rest of the participants. Thank you for your active participations. So with that, we have come to the end of our webinars today. On behalf of the Bayer Environmental Science, we would like to thank all the participants for your participation and for your support during this 2 hours webinar. And also, thank you very much to both of our speakers today, Dr. Stephen and the Pols, and also Mr. Gan Ghee Whoon for their informative sharing. After this webinar, we would appreciate if you could take some time to complete the short survey for our future improvement. The survey will be popped up after this webinar. With that, we are closing our webinar now. Please continue to stay safe and until we meet again in the next event to come. Thank you and bye-bye.
Thank you. Goodbye. Stay safe. Ticket pop-up.